You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogdon.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogdon. Part of my life's work is helping people master their message, figuring out who they are, what they are trying to say and do and be in the world, and then delivering that message in a way that moves people in the direction that you want them to move in a way that is helping them to achieve their goals, create business and life success, and be able to master who they are. So connecting and building a bridge between your knowledge, your expertise, using your message as a way to make connections with your audience. It's really important, obviously, that you know how to articulate and communicate and to speak in a way that is persuasive and inspiring and motivational to other people. So what is the best way that we can improve our speaking skills and our communication with other people? I've got a really great expert in this area, and I'm so pleased to welcome to the program Bishal Sarkar. For the past 14 years, he has been a real-world public speaker and life mastery mentor who has been speaking on stages for some of the biggest companies in the world, including Microsoft, Apple, CISCO, IBM, and many others. Now, many of these Fortune 500 companies in the world hire him to train their top leaders to help them achieve more personally and professionally. Mr. Sarkar is the highest paid public speaker in India. And he didn't get that way overnight, but he's going to share his success secrets with us here on Rebelpreneur Radio. He is also the author of the book, I Love Public Speaking. So Bishal Sarkar, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Ralph, I appreciate that and happy to be on the Rebelpreneur Show.
I am so excited to have you and to make a connection. You've got a very interesting background. And before we get into those wonderful success tips for communication and for speaking, tell us a little bit about your background and what were some of the experiences that formed your unique approach to this and really put you on the path that you're on right now.
Yeah, I mean, one common myth that a lot of people think that you have to be born as a great speaker to speak great. And Ralph, I don't know about you, but I was born as a baby, just like everybody else. And I came from a middle-class background. Ralph, in India, I was born and brought up in a small town called Shiliguri. So growing up, we didn't have much. My father worked for Indian Railways, Indian government. He got paid very less. And I grew up in a middle-class background, in a middle-class neighborhood. And I studied in a Bengali medium government school. So my English is my third language, not even my second language. And my parents paid about 289 rupees a year, which is about $6 in Indian currency a year for my school tuition fee in the government school that I studied in. And during my school days, 8th and 9th grade, I was bullied for 4 consecutive years. And I was not bullied by school students. I was bullied by a teacher, an English teacher who used to bully me. He used to abuse me verbally every single day for 4 consecutive years. Now you can imagine, Ralph, when a teenage boy gets bullied by a teacher for 4 consecutive years. And back in the days in India, you could not do anything. Like in our Indian culture, if I came home and I told my parents about me being bullied by a teacher, my parents would think that I'm doing something wrong because in India, teachers are always right.
Right.
So that shattered my self-confidence a lot. And I remember when I went out for my college days as well, I've always been a very introverted guy. And those 4 years worked as PTSD, post-traumatic speaking disorder for me. So I carried that scar for years and years. And later on, the transformation happened after I went to many different courses. Back in the days, we did not have those many programs as we have now. But I found my mentor and things changed for me. And I started finding my message. I started finding my voice. And as a result, people started coming to me for getting some individual advice. And before I knew, I started getting calls from companies like Microsoft and IBM and Google and Apple. And they said, hey, would you like to come and speak to our company? Would you like to train our leaders? And that teaches me one thing, which is, where you come from doesn't have to be your future. So all the people out there, I know that you talk to a lot of business owners, you coach them. I train a lot of corporate professionals, CEOs and business owners too. And the message for them is that no matter where you are in your life, you can become a great speaker. When you transform your speaking, you can transform your life.
I love that. And then what a powerful story. Really encouraging that we all start out as babies, helpless. Yeah. And all we can do is cry and scream. We can't even articulate verbally what it is we want. So we all start with a level playing field, and it's not about resources, but about resourcefulness, as Tony Robbins would say. What was the biggest challenge for you overcoming those years of bullying and then going into college? I know you had to overcome all of that, but what was the catalyst? What was the spark that when you first realized that my future doesn't have to be determined by my past?
I think when I started studying, management during my college days, one thing that happened is I got a good mentor in my college. Like, he was just a teacher, but he used to teach, behavioral science. His name was Mr. Jatinder Mohan. I still remember him. He started talking to me for the first time in my life, not as if I was a student, but as if I was already a leader. He would address me with respect. He would talk to me with respect. That was new to me. That was a foreign idea, that a teacher would treat that student as if the student is a leader. That was new to me. So when he saw me for who I can become versus who I was becoming in the past, that gave me some hope. And just like that switch got turned on for me, and one thing led to another. So I think that presence of that teacher in my life, gave me a U-turn, give me a transformation turnaround, because I believe life's three best teachers in life, Ralph, are heartbreaks. So when something bad happened, you change your life, or an empty pocket. Empty pocket doesn't have to be really empty. A business owner can have an empty pocket because they're not able to break even. Or the third best teacher is a teacher or a mentor who has had a lot of heartbreaks and empty pockets, and who can now show you the path to a transformation. So that teacher became the catalyst for me. And then, just like the snowball effect, I started learning, I started investing in myself, I started growing the skills, and one thing after another, things fell up, in the right place. And here I am in the journey of transformation and helping other people transforming their lives.
Very exciting. So you're working with top leaders. Let's say one of those top leaders is listening to this program right now. It may be more than one, but what do you say? What do you do with someone in those few minutes that you have them to grab them and really help them to make positive transformation in their life? What is your approach?
Yeah, think about a swimming pool, Ralph. Like, we can stand and sit down and have a cup of coffee, and we can do a lot of lectures about the swimming pool, right? Here is how to swim, and here is how swimming was invented, and here is the reason, here is the kind of water. Or you can get inside the swimming pool, right? So there's the theory, and there is the practicality. What I do is I cut out all the theoretical knowledge, and I say, let's speak. You speak on this topic. I'm going to give you a random topic. You speak for 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you exactly 25 mistakes you're doing. And I'm going to show you exactly how to turn those mistakes into something powerful within the next 25 minutes. And people really do that. So that practical turnaround that I do is what changes people's lives. As an example of that, a CEO comes. We have, India's most successful public speaking program. Instead of teaching and giving them slide size, of course, we teach them techniques and the methods, and then they speak. I tell them, here is how you could, instead of starting this way, you could start this way. And then they speak. I tell them, here is how you could, instead of starting this way, you could start this way. And then they speak. 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 And then they spe You could start your speech this way to grab more attention. Hey, you see, in the third minute, you are losing the attention. Instead of doing this way, do that way. So we work on their confidence level, their influence, their first impression, their executive presence, their connection, their spontaneous speaking, voice, body language, everything. And it's not an overnight thing. It takes a little bit of time. And over a period of time, people really transform. And they transform forever, not just for a short period of time. And that gives me the happiness. So yeah, there is, just like swimming, public speaking has to be learned in a practical way. And we tell people exactly how to do it.
Yeah, you learn it by doing it, but it's really important that you have someone to give you the feedback like you and say, okay, here's where you're falling short. Here's how to fix that. Try it again. And you progressively get better and better. Now, we were talking about public speaking before we went on the air, and let's clarify. Public speaking is not just for people who say, well, I'm a public speaker. I'm going to make my business to go around and give talks. But really, it's anyone who is in leadership needs to have some skill set and some expertise and some practice in the area of public speaking. It's more than just doing it professionally all day long, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you open your mouth, you're doing public speaking, because unless you're speaking to yourself, right? So if you're having a phone call, you're having a Zoom call, you're doing a Facebook Live, you're having a teleconference call, you're doing a presentation for your clients over Zoom, WebEx, face-to-face, doesn't matter. The method doesn't matter. What really matters is your way of communication, your way of talking, your way of conviction. One thing I always talk about is, the 3 C's of communication. Ralph, is that okay if I teach a bit for the next 1 minute?
Absolutely, yeah.
So the 3 C's we talk about very simply is, connect, convey, and convince. Now, if you look at the 3 words, most people have heard those 3 words, but they don't understand what is connect. So if you look at most relationships in today's world, husband, wife, father, son, father, daughter, mother, son, mother, daughter, whatever, and leaders and teams, there is very less connection. And because there is very less connection, they convey a lot, but still the person is not convinced. However, if you focus more on the connection in the beginning, you convey a little, instant conviction happens. So when you're connecting, when you're talking to people, let's say the next time you are giving a speech, next time you're giving a presentation, instead of giving a talk, understand the people. People connect with you not when they understand you. People connect with you when they feel understood by you. And for that, I have a very simple framework called NICE, N-I-C-E. You need to understand people's NICE, their needs, their interests, their concerns, and their expectations. Let's say you're giving a client presentation. Instead of going out there and talking about what you got, get to know, do a little bit of rapport and get to know their needs, their interests, their concern, expectation. Let them feel heard, let them feel understood. And so that's when connection happens. And after that, if you convey a little bit, they are fully convinced because you heard them. And if you just do that, simply, game changes for you. Now, to do that, you require a little bit of practice. I have a little framework for that. I call it the 3 J's. Number 1, you got to visualize. In your mind, when you're doing practice, you want to visualize exactly how the end of the presentation should be in your mind. Number 2, verbalize. You need to have a verbal, for the verbal fluency, for the voice inflections and all that. You can't do really just in your mind. You have to really do the physical practice. And the presentation with a coach. And the 3rd is normalize. Next time you pitch a $1 million deal, next time you do something else, don't get hyped up. Normalize. It's okay. It's normal. The affirmation I give my clients, Ralph, is it's normal for me to dash. It's normal for me to have a 6-pack ab. It's normal for me to make millions of dollars. It's normal for me to get a standing ovation. It's normal for me to give confident presentation. It's normal for me to receive a lot of money. When you normalize that, after you verbalize that, and after that you visualize, things change for you. And people say, I don't know who he is, but he's a somebody. I don't know what she does, but she does something good. I don't know what kind of a company they are. I wish I could become their client. And that's what being a powerful speaker is all about.
When you said that about normalize, the vision that came to my mind is of a professional athlete, for example, when he scores a touchdown in my country, and they want to dance and celebrate in the end zone as if they have never done this before. They don't normalize that celebration. But it's more classy just to score the touchdown and then just go off the field and just as if that's a normal part of my everyday success routine, right?
Yeah, and that doesn't mean you're not being grateful for the results you're having. It just means you're grateful, and it's normal because you got to trick your brain. I see a lot of people saying, I have a great speech. I have a speech coming up. And their nervousness increases. They can't sleep the night before. They had insomnia for a few days or weeks before their speeches. The reason is because you're making it too big in your mind. Normalize that in your mind and things can really change for you. And it takes a little bit of practice for sure. But I'm not talking, there is an old saying, Ralph, practice makes a man perfect. It doesn't. The right practice makes a man improved. So if I'm going from India to USA, and if the flight direction is wrong, doesn't matter how fast the flight is going. It has to come in the right track. In the same way, it doesn't matter how many times you're practicing, you're preparing, how much you know. You can have a lot of expertise, but until and unless you practice the right way. So I tell people all the time, if you're giving a very vital presentation, Ralph, practice 3 times. Number 1, for clarity. First time you practice your presentation, to yourself, you get a little bit of clarity about where you're missing in the beginning or in the middle or toward the end. The second time you practice is for comfort. Now that you're clear, it gives you comfort and confidence about, I see exactly what you're going to do. And then you do a third practice, maybe the night before or 2 nights before, for creativity. You add some flavors. You add some recent thing that happened. You add a humorous line based on the audience. So practice for clarity, then practice for comfort, and practice for creativity. And then you will be able to connect and engage, and every single time rock the stage.
I love your frameworks, and I'm writing as fast as you're speaking, so I can go back and refer to this. My education degree is in strategic communication, which covers a range of communication, not just speaking, but also written communication, media communication, political health communication. And I want to get your thought on this, but I suspect that you could take, for example, and I've said the same thing about strategic communication. It's not about what I wish to say. It's about what the audience wishes to hear, or what they need to hear, or what they want to hear. And then I'm trying to steer them in a direction that maybe they didn't come into that communication wanting to go in that direction. But for example, if I'm trying to persuade them to vote for a particular person or to support a particular cause, do you think that these frameworks you have provided us, for example, the 3 C's, connect, convey, and convince, and also NICE, which I really love because it's really audience centered, needs, interests, concerns, and expectations.
Yeah.
Do these translate over into written communication, advertisements, email marketing, and the like?
Yeah. At the end of it's all about the medium. Doesn't matter. It does. First of all, yes. Virtually, face-to-face, print media, doesn't matter where. It's all the same. It's all about human connection and persuasion. The reason I teach specifically in the medium of speaking is because that's my expertise. I know what it feels like, Ralph, to have a lot to say and not having the frameworks to say that. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like when clients come to me and tell me that I've been a CEO for the last 25 years and every single time I have to give a speech, I have to delegate it to somebody else. I understand what it feels like. So to answer your question, yes, it helps in every single medium, including print media, advertising. Depends on what you're trying to communicate. Of course, there are things change because of the attention span of the audience, who you're targeting. But at the end of the day, communication is communication. If you understand the frameworks, if you understand the principles, you can add some of the tactics and boom, you have a new customized framework for yourself in that situation.
Wonderful. I love that. Now, someone listening to this and they recognize right away, I think, first of all, that you have some powerful frameworks and some real expertise in being able to help them. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited, and how can people find out more about you and participate in it?
I'll be happy to tell that. Ralph, I am very excited to tell you that most of the programs that we have right now, it's full until next year. And we have a program called Elite. It's a high level mastermind for a year, and the people are getting amazing results that I'm very happy. And people can go to our website, bishalsarkar.com, and find more. But I want to quickly talk about one individual right now, one of my client story that will really, I think, connect with your audience right now. His name is Palash. He's from India. And one of his struggles when he first came to me a couple of years ago was, let's see if the audience can connect. He knew a lot to say. He had a lot to say, but he didn't know how to really confidently communicate because he was lacking that connection skills. He was lacking some of those frameworks to really communicate with power. And the impact of that is because in his job, he was not able to get the results that he really wanted as a sales director. And he came to my public speaking course. He improved a lot, and the next logical step for him was definitely to join our year-long mastermind, which is really not inexpensive. It's a high-level program, and he almost did not join because of time and money. It was a big investment for him at that time, and I still remember because back in the days we met face to face in our initial 2-day event, and he said, "Bishal, I really want to do this," and I asked him why. Why would you like to master yourself? And I still remember what he said. He said, "Bishal, I want to be an example, not just for my daughter, not just for my wife, but I want to be an example also for my parents who are very old. I've not stayed connected with them very, very well. I want to have the time freedom and the location freedom and the financial freedom." I said, "Palash, if you have the trust, I can show you exactly how to do it. All you have to do is jump in." He decided to bet on himself. I coached him on his mindset for the last 2 years, his skill set and daily action, so that every single day he knew exactly what to do after waking up in the morning to work on his confidence, work on his speaking, and work on his leadership and his family life. He took the action. Very happy to tell you that not only he has time freedom today, fast forward everything till today, not only he has got a 65% raise in the time of COVID in India, which is unheard of in most companies. I'm very happy to say that right now, if you go and just type his name, Palash Mitra, on Amazon, he has become a best-selling author. He launched his second book just last month. And last week, he closed a $10.5 million deal, which is unheard of in his industry right now. And more than the financial and the reputation and the career results, he tells me that, "Bishal, I feel purposeful and powerful every single day." And the lesson about all of that is this: it doesn't matter where you start. It matters, are you able to take the action? Are you willing to take the action? And are you willing to invest your mind and spirit and time and money in yourself? If you can do that, if Palash can go from not having the purpose to being a best-selling author and closing millions of dollars of deals, dear business owner, dear corporate professional, I'm here to tell you right now that you have the ability to do that too. And people can go to our website to find more, but I don't think they need to do that. They have the right coach here right now, Ralph. All you have to do is find the right mentor, and you can transform your life as well.
Very powerful. Very powerful. That's a tremendous testimony to the power of communication. And it does begin with mindset, and that you make that shift on the inside, do the work every day, and the sky is the limit. It's just a world of possibilities from that point. Tell us a little bit about your book before we let you go. You wrote a book called I Love Public Speaking. What is it about?
I wrote that in 2013. That book, we used to sell that on Amazon and everything. We took it off because there is a reason. We use book as a very strategic way. I know you teach that a lot to your clients too. We use that book in 2013, we used that to differentiate ourselves. Like that book got us, calls from Microsoft and Apple and Google, because we send those books to those strategic influencers via direct mail. They read that, they give us a call, and we got a lot of deal. So that book simply talks about 16 different ways to amplify your speaking, amplify your communication. But what we do now with our programs is far more practical, because the book is amazing, but it just, at the end of the day, public speaking can't be taught in a book, if that makes sense.
Well, it is all communication, but written form is very different from spoken form and verbal.
Yes.
It's a different energy, and some people are just very naturally adept towards one particular energy. And actually, I'm more adept in writing than I am in speaking. And that's just the way I'm wired. But anyone can benefit from these principles that we've learned today. And so this has been a real pleasure. Any final thoughts? You've shared so much value in the brief time that we've had together. I feel like that we've only just begun, but do you have any final thoughts or a word of wisdom that you can leave with our listeners?
Word of wisdom. Yes. Two, actually. First of all, based on what you're saying, I was just reading about it, 2 years ago. I just want to share this statistic with you so quickly. The attention span of goldfish generally is about 9 seconds. The attention span of human beings is 6 seconds today. What it means is you really need to be an interesting speaker, and you can't just have a lot of knowledge and just speak one way. You have to have the infotainment, information plus entertainment in the right way. That's very important in written communication, in speaking, wherever you do, number one. Number two, the final thing I want to say, which is a little beyond public speaking, but I believe firmly, Ralph, that the dear audience, dear listener right now, you deserve not just confidence, you deserve confidence and wealth in your life. A quick joke I want to end with, quick funny story. Once upon a time in India, there was a spiritual teacher who was staying in a 5-star hotel for a few days. And generally in India, people think spiritual teachers should live in a slum. They should live in open ground and stuff like that. So a journalist came in the morning to interview him and said, "You are a monk. How come a 5-star hotel?" And that spiritual teacher answered, said, "Do you have a better hotel than this? Then I can stay there if you want." The message is you don't have to struggle to be wealthy one day. You deserve all the wealth. And I don't know about you, dear listener, but if you did not come from a wealthy family, let a wealthy family come from you. If you did not come from wealth, let wealth start from you. Because at the end of the day, it's all about connection. And if you connect with people, if you spread your message, and as Ralph teaches, if you master your message and if you communicate and connect with the right people, you will connect enough. And when you add enough value to people, you will get the value back to you. You will have the time freedom, the location freedom, the financial freedom. Because at the end of the day, it's all about that connection. Because public speaking is not about perfection. It's all about connection.
Words of wisdom from Bishal Sarkar. He is and has been for the last 14 years a real-world public speaker and life mastery mentor who has been speaking on stages for some of the biggest companies in the world, including Microsoft, Apple, Cisco, IBM, and many more. He trains top leaders for these Fortune 500 companies and helps them to achieve more personally and professionally. He is the highest paid public speaker in India, and he is the author of the book, I Love Public Speaking. If you'd like to connect with Bishal, you can do so at bishalsarkar.com. And we'll have that website link on the Rebelpreneur website as well. So, Bishal, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your time with us today on Rebelpreneur Radio. I really appreciate it.
Ralph, thank you so much. Thanks to you for being such a great host, for such a great amplifier of information and wisdom. And thank you for everything that you do. Thanks for having me, brother.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogdon. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.